again, and welcome back to part 4 of the Alicia Rose Garden crochet along. We've done as far as these rows just here in part 3, so we're going to carry on with the next few rows on this next video. The next row that we're going to work is a single crochet, and for this next one I'm going to use the yellow that I used on this single row here, but again, feel free to use whatever colour you want, especially if you're doing it as a scrap yarn blanket where you're using up yarns that you've already got left over from other projects. But if you're sticking to a theme, you are welcome to use the same colour scheme as me, or the one that we show from the sample that I've already worked up. So again, as always, we're going to start with the slip knot onto the hook, and we're going to work from a corner. So because it's a single in the corner, we've got one single and 2 chain and a single in that corner. As before, we're going to skip that first stitch there. We're going to just do one single in each stitch all the way along this row. So it's a nice and simple row again to start part 4 with. So just a very straightforward singles, one in every stitch right down to the last stitch of the corner, and then we're going to do a single, 2 chain and a single in the corner, and then work, skipping that first stitch, work one single into each row. So I'll let you pause the video and work your singles, and I'll meet you when we get to the end of this first round. So I've come round to the end of this row of singles, and as always I'm going to just join into that first stitch with a slip stitch, cut off the yarn and pull the loop through. The next row that we're going to do is this one here. So we've got back post doubles into around each of the singles that we've just done. So on the sampler I did that in a darker pink than the singles. On this sampler I'm doing it in the pale lemon, so it's going to be just a little bit lighter. So again, we've got a slip knot onto the hook. It's another nice easy round. We're going to start in a corner with a standing double, a normal double, 1 chain and 2 doubles as before. We're now going to yarn over, put the hook in front of the stitch, back through behind, pick up the loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So we're just going to back post all the way along the row. If you want other ideas of colours or a colour theme to use, there are some photos now that have been popped onto the Facebook group from other people who are doing this same project. I think in future I might try one of the mandala colours in the cakes that change colour naturally. I think I've got a couple left over, so I might actually work the next blanket in those. I've also got quite a lot of pastel shades, so I may do a baby blanket as well in this same pattern. And also, if you want it to be a thicker blanket and one that will come out bigger, you could work with Aran yarn. If you were working with an Aran yarn, I would suggest to go to about a size 6mm hook so that the tension would stay right. And also, if you want to go the opposite way and work it in a 4-ply, you would go down probably to a 4mm. But a lot of tension depends on your method of crochet. As I said before, I do crochet a little bit tight, so I find that with the double knit, a good quality double knit that's not too thin, a 5mm hook is my go-to hook for most projects. I'm not sure if everybody's the same, but I think we all have a favourite hook. And for the 5mm, this is definitely my favourite one. So I'm almost to the corner of this first row. So just carry on working the back post double in each of the singles, and it'll form this ridge of the single crochets that we've done. When you get to the corner, it's just a straightforward 2 doubles, 1 chain, 2 doubles. We skip that first stitch. Sorry, we don't skip the stitch on the back post, so we do a back post double around every single from the previous row, and I'll meet when we get to the end of this round. Around to the last few stitches of this row. The next row that we're going to do, by the way, these 2 rows that we've just done are row 19 and 20, if you're wanting to keep a check on which row number we're on. The next row that we're going to do, if you're using leftover yarns, you might again want to do the next row in a green colour, because it does keep the theme of the flowers, and it's going to be the leaves again. It's a V-stitch row. As the rows are now taking longer to do because we've got so many more stitches each row, the videos will be spaced a little bit further apart as they're added to YouTube. If you're actually waiting for the next part, you might just have to bear with me a little bit. I'm also working the blanket twice because I do the sample first and then the one that we're doing here on the tutorial. So we just join again, as always, with a slip stitch into that final, the first stitch of the row, pull the loop through and fasten off. So we're now going to work this row of V-stitches here. They don't have to be in green, it's just if you want it to keep the look of the flowers, it is nice to have a green leaf. So it's the pale green, it's like a grey green, this Lovett green. So into the corners here we've got the 2 doubles and the 1 chain and 2 doubles. To form the corner. Chain 1 and 2 V's. And then we're going to skip the 2 stitches that were the corner stitches from the previous row, and then into the 3rd stitch we're going to work a V-stitch, which is 1 double, chain 1 and a double into that same stitch. And because the stitch takes over it, it forms 3 stitches. We've got either side of the V and the chain in the middle. We're working over 3 stitches, so we skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we do a V into the next stitch. We're just going to work the same all the way around with the usual 2 doubles, the chain 1 and the 2 doubles in each of the corner stitches. So if you want to carry on and work the row of V's there all the way around with the 2 doubles with a chain 1 in the corner stitches, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. When we get to the end of the first side, we've got the 2 stitches from the corner of the previous row. We're going to skip those 2 stitches and again work the 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles into that same corner there, and then again skip 2 doubles, and we start again with the V's along the next side, and all 4 sides will be exactly the same. Working a V-stitch, skipping 2 stitches and working a V-stitch. So I'll let you pause the video and work your row of V-stitches all the way around the blanket, and I'll catch you when we get to the end of this V-stitch row. The V-stitch row is row 21. Coming round to the end of this row, just got a few more V-stitches to work. There's the last one, and as always we're going to join into the top of the first stitch with a slip stitch, cut off the yarn and pull the stitch through. We're now going to work into the V-stitches, but at the beginning of this row we're going to work front post doubles into each of the 2 stitches from the corner, and I'm going back to the Begonia colour, which is the colour that I used for the first rosebuds. Start again with a slip knot onto the hook, and we're going to work 2 doubles into the corner, chain 1 and another 2 doubles. On the next 2 stitches, which are the doubles from the corner, we're going to work the front post double, which is yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Into this first V-stitch here, we're working straight into the actual space. We're going to do a 3 double crochet cluster. So yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, but we don't go through we don't do the second half of the double. Yarn over again into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 again, so we're doing half of the stitch each time, and then the third one, yarn over into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2. We've now got 4 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4. We're going to chain 1 to fasten off the cluster, and then we do a chain 1 as well. We're going to do the same thing again into this first V-stitch. So yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, that's one time, yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over into the loop, pick up a loop, yarn over 3 times, and then we yarn over and pull through all 3 at the same time, and a chain 1 to fasten off that cluster. So we've got 2 3 double crochet clusters with a chain in between in that same stitch. We're going to skip the 2 sides of the V's, and we're going to do 2 doubles, these are normal doubles, into the next V stitch, 1 and 2. Then we go straight over into the next one, and we're going to work the 3 double crochet cluster again with a chain 1 to fasten it off, chain 1 to go in between, and then we're going to do the same again, a 3 double crochet cluster and a chain 1 to fasten off. We're going to do this all the way along, so into the next V we've got 2 doubles. The next 2 rows following this one are going to be the same, apart from we're going to work front post doubles around the 2 doubles that are in the alternate V's. So 2 3 double crochet clusters in this next stitch, 1, 2 and 3, then yarn over through all of the loops and a chain to fasten off, straight over into the next V. We'll do the 2 doubles and then back to the clusters in the next one. Don't forget the chain 1 to fasten off the stitch, and then a chain 1, and then the second cluster into that same stitch and a chain 1 to fasten off. So we've got a row of clusters, 2 clusters, 2 doubles, 2 clusters, 2 doubles. We're going to do that all the way around. When you get to the last stitch, you're just going to, the last V stitch, we're just going to do the 2 clusters, and then we'll do the normal corner stitch. But we've got the 2 front post doubles over the corner stitches, but I'll show you that as we get there. So cluster with a chain, oops, let's just split the yarn there just slightly. I'll just do that one again. So we've got a cluster stitch, chain 1 and another cluster, with a chain to fasten off, and then the 2 doubles into the next V, 2 clusters in this next one with a chain in between, and a chain to fasten off, two clusters in this one, and then the 2 doubles, oops, two doubles in this next one, And then we work 2 clusters with a chain in between. And then the 2 doubles. The last V-stitch on this end here will have the 2 clusters. Don't forget the last chain to fasten off that stitch. And now we've come to the corner stitches here. We're going to do a front post double. So behind the stitch, pick up the loop and work the double at the front, and again on that next one we do exactly the same. And we've got the normal corner stitches, which are 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and we work the next side exactly the same. We're going to work front post doubles over these first 2 stitches, and then into that first V-stitch the 2 clusters, with a chain 1 in between, and then 2 doubles into that next stitch there, and then 2 clusters into the next one, working alternate in the V's all along the row. Just finish off that cluster. And then 2, oops, don't forget that last chain, and then 2 doubles into that next stitch. So if you want to carry on working this row all the way around, 2 clusters in the first stitch after the corner, 2 doubles, 2 clusters, 2 doubles, 2 clusters, and so on all the way along this row, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. Don't forget, when we get to the end of each side, that we're doing a front post double around the last 2 stitches before the corner chain, and then we do the 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles again into that corner space, and then 2 front post doubles before we start with the cluster stitches again, and then we go into the cluster stitch in the next V-stitch. If you come to the end and you find that you've not got a cluster in the last V, just check back that you've not done 2 of the doubles by mistake. It should be alternate doubles and clusters in the V's all the way along. Coming round to the last couple of cluster stitches in this row, just do the second cluster followed by the 2 doubles, and then we're at the last V-stitch where we do the last clusters. And then the final 2 stitches are the front post doubles, and then we can fasten off into that first stitch, cut off the yarn and pull through to fasten off. The next row is very similar to this row, but we're doing the front post double stitches on the first 4 rather than the first 2 stitches. Just get the yarn just a little bit. That's it. Right, so slip knot onto the hook and into the corner chain space we work the normal 2 double, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and now we've got the 2 stitches from the previous corner and the 2 front post stitches from the previous row. We're going to do a front post double around all 4 of these stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're now at the clusters that we did last row. We're going to work exactly the same into the chain space between the clusters. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and pull through, chain 1, and then we're going to do another cluster again into that same space. 1, 2 and 3. We now come to the 2 doubles that we did into the next V. We're going to do a front post double around each of those doubles, and then into the next chain space between the clusters we're going to work 2 clusters again with a chain in between. So 1, 2 and 3, chain to fasten off, chain in between, and then another cluster stitch in that same space onto the 2 doubles where we're going to do front post doubles as we did before. And it's just the same now all the way along this row where we're working 2 clusters with a chain in between in the chain from the previous cluster, and then 2 front post doubles over the 2 doubles from the last row. Don't forget to fasten off with a chain and then a chain in between, and then the next cluster there. Front post doubles around the 2 doubles, and then over to the next cluster. And the 2 chain, the 2 front post doubles, and then the 2 clusters into the space where the clusters are in the previous row. So if you want to pause the video and work all the way around, working exactly the same way, don't forget we've got 4 of the front post doubles before the corner rather than the 2 that we had on the previous row, and I'll meet you when we get round to the next row. When you've reached the end of that row, we're going to do exactly the same again with, on this one I'm going to use the cream yarn. We're going to start again in a corner. We had 4 of the front post doubles on this last row. We've now got the extra 2 stitches that we increase on each row in the corners, so on this one we'll be doing 6 front post doubles after the 2 doubles that are in the corner. So we'll start the corner with 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then on this row we're going to front post double around the 2 stitches from the last corner, and then 1 around each of the next 4, so we'll have 6 front post doubles altogether. Oops, just catching the yarn there from before. So there you can see we've got 6 front post doubles on this corner. We go straight across to the space between the 2 clusters, and again we're going to work 2 clusters with a chain 1 in between. And 3, and then 2 front post doubles, 1 around each of the next 2 stitches, which were the front post doubles from the previous row. And then we go back into the chain space and work the 2 cluster stitches, followed by the 2 front post doubles. And you can carry on all the way to the next corner, where again we'll have the 4 front post doubles, and you'll also do a front post around the next 2 which form the corner from the previous row, and then your normal corner, which will be 2 doubles, 1 chain and 2 doubles, and then you'll do the front post around the next 6 stitches, and then back into the 2 doubles, the 2 cluster stitches with the chain 1 in between, and then on to the next 2 front post doubles. And that will conclude this next part of our blanket. As you can see there, we've got the front post doubles and the 3 rows with the sets of clusters here with the front post doubles in between, and then we'll be ready to start on part 5 with the next video. I hope you've enjoyed following this part of the blanket, and I hope that you'll come back and join us for part 5, and thanks for watching. Bye.